Hello everyone, welcome to Res News. Today we'll be covering three important topics. First of all, why is China so desperate to have disengagement talks with India? Please do not judge me for saying this. Let us look at it from a very neutral perspective. Let us look at it very objectively. Second topic, will there be a World War III? I know that's a very cliche word, World War III, which almost everyone is using very loosely these days. I cannot confirm if there'll be a World War III, but I can tell you where the next big war is going to happen. And no, it is not happening in Middle East. It's at a completely different location. Then the third news. Third news is about why is Chinese intelligence agency so freaked out about Turkey joining BRICS and why did it call it the next India? Mind you, all the three topics are connected. So without much ado, let's jump straight into the crux of the matter. So let's start with the border resolutions between India and China. These talks had been continuing since some time now, without much success to be honest. And the news of border resolution first came from the Indian side. The Indian media posted it on the day Indian Prime Minister was leaving for Kazan, Russia for the BRICS summit. The Chinese side was initially silent and then Global Times happily announced the same news. So now the narrative being set is that India, China and Russia have united against the West. China and Russia may have united, but I'm not sure India has, because just last week, India along with Quad nations, which include Japan, United States and Australia, for a naval exercise in Bay of Bengal, and it's called the Malabar 2024 exercise. Another proof is India buying defense equipments from America. If India was really moving away from America or the West, this would not have happened. The most recent purchases being MQ-9 drones. So coming back to why China was desperate about the disengagement talks with India. Well, the most simple reason is that China wanted to get rid of its headache along the LAC, which is what it shares, the border it shares with India, when it has a bigger headache to deal with in the South China Sea, which includes America and its allies, that is Japan, Philippines, South Korea and so on. China knows that by 2027 it will be on a head-on collision with America and its allies. We had covered this in another one of our videos, which is called China 2027. I had also covered the Middle East war in it, so I'm not covering those points here. So coming back to China and India. So China is aware that a lot of its resources will have to be sent toward the southeastern border along the South China Sea. So China doesn't want a headache with India. Well, I must confirm that India and China, both sides are aware that disengagement talks doesn't mean peace along LAC. There will be no guarantee that after disengagement talks, there will be peace along LAC. And this is exactly why China will use Pakistan against India. China will use Pakistan to keep Indian forces busy along the western border. If you look at it, this is exactly what is happening. Pakistan army is utilizing its mercenaries or the terrorists against Indian forces, and these attacks along the India's western border, these attacks will intensify in next 2 years. I won't be surprised if Pakistan provokes us for an attack, for example by taking down a high value target which can include a politician. Such terrorist attacks can happen not just along the Jammu Kashmir border, but anywhere India, anything that provokes India to engage Pakistan. That is exactly what China is aiming for right now. And if you look at it, Pakistan is also busy buying drones, naval assets, fighter jets. What do you think it is preparing for? China's idea is, while China is busy with America and its allies in South China Sea, China will keep India busy with Pakistan. Yet I must tell you that while we are busy on the western border, there is no guarantee of silence along LAC, the border we share with China. It's a given that India and China will have a face-off, either on the land or in the sea. This is where our next point comes in. Where will be the next World War III fought? Well, World War III is a very cliche word, and I do believe if there is a word called World War III and if it is supposed to represent anything, then that war is happening since 2020 when COVID started, which is the first phase of it. Russia Ukraine will be the second phase of it, and next phase is in 2026. Well, that is if we assume this is part of World War III. What I am trying to say is the next big war will happen in the sea, and it will happen in the region between Strait of Malacca and the South China Sea. It is not going to be happening in the Middle East as is being predicted, and this will involve America and its allies. India will also be a part of it. And how do I know that? Well, if you look at it, India is busy buying naval assets, and the most recent launch of its fourth nuclear powered ballistic missile submarine SSBN is just one of the many examples. India's biggest advantage against China is Strait of Malacca, where Chinese ships and Chinese submarines are easily spotted. If you look at it, Taiwan also seems to be preparing for a war somewhere in 2026 and 2027. All the arms and equipment purchases by Taiwan from America is ending in and around 2026. And the most recent news is US Navy SEALs are on high alert because of China-Taiwan issue. Taiwan's launch of satellites, its purchase of air defense systems, and other defense-related equipments all are being done with 2026 in mind. Though I personally believe that China would always like to take down Taiwan politically. And I had explained this in my previous video, so I'm not going there. I don't want to be wasting time in this video. Let's stick to the topic. So if you look at it, this is not just about Taiwan, it's also about other American allies like South Korea and Japan. There's so much news coming about North Korea keeping South Korea on tenterhooks and China provoking Japan. And all this makes perfect sense when you look at it, because Japan is supposed to provide cover for Taiwan's airspace. And it's said that the most recent China's ICBM test was supposed to be a message for Japan. Interestingly, American companies are approaching India. For example, Boeing approached India for research and development and supply chain initiative. Such initiatives will help America in case there's a war in South China Sea. If you look at it, Indian shipyards have also signed maintenance contracts with US Navy. That aside, there's a very serious issue of nuclear warheads. There was a report which said Russia had supplied a lot of uranium to China in 2023. And then of course there's America, which is signing a lot of uranium related contracts, but they do not hit the headlines. There was another report which said India and Pakistan's nuclear warheads are also surging. So will there be a war between India and China? Not really. India will have to first deal with a provocative Pakistan, and then somewhere in 2026, 2027, we might go on for a short-term kinetic adventure in the sea and simultaneously on the land with China. I have discussed the 2 points, which is why was China desperate for disengagement talks, and the next was where will be the next World War III or the next big war. As I talk, there's a BRICS meeting happening in Russia. In a significant diplomatic maneuver, Turkey sent a formal request to join the BRICS. This gave jitters to China, and Chinese intelligence agency was on tenterhooks. It believes that Turkey is going to be the next India in the BRICS alliance. India, because of its good bonds that it shares with Russia, became one of the founding members of BRICS and is also part of SCO, which is Shanghai Cooperation Organization. During the Shanghai Cooperation Organization exercises, Indian forces get to meet the Pakistani and the Chinese forces, which I strongly believe works in India's favor. At this point, China is seeing its power whittling down or reducing within BRICS. Last year, after the BRICS summit in South Africa, countries like Saudi Arabia, UAE, Ethiopia, Iran, Argentina were invited to BRICS. This was done at the behest of China because China sees them as its allies. China was not at all appreciative of Turkey joining BRICS. China instead supported membership of Nigeria, Kazakhstan, and Vietnam. China has three reasons why it does not support Turkey's membership in BRICS. First of all is the Uyghur problem. China believes Turkey is playing a double game and that Turkey is it's waging a information campaign against the Chinese government when it comes to Uyghur, and it keeps pushing the Turkish identity of the Uyghur minority. Another problem is China believes that Turkey is an ally of Russia. If you remember, it was Russia which saved Erdogan, Turkey's president, during the 2016 coup. This brought Turkey and Russia together. So when Turkey joins BRICS, Russia will only become more powerful. So now there's one more reason, and that reason is that the Chinese intelligence agency believes that Turkey will be the next India in BRICS alliance, as I said earlier. Why so? It basically means that Turkey is a country CCP will not be able to rely on or completely trust upon. Meanwhile, Turkey on its side did try to charm China by supporting China and Brazil's peace initiative vis-a-vis Ukraine. BRICS is a great initiative. It largely works in favor of two countries, Russia and China, as these both countries fear US sanctions and want its trade partners to join BRICS so that they can trade in a currency other than dollars. So it makes sense why Russia's allies and China's allies have joined BRICS. But to assume that any country that joins BRICS becomes anti-West automatically is wrong. At this point, I would also like to mention how things are developing between China and Pakistan. We all know that there was recently an attack on on a convoy which was carrying Chinese officials, and it was a major attack carried out by Baluch Liberation Army. A few days after that attack, Taliban had released a video of interrogation of spies of militants who had worked inside Pakistan, and they had claimed that they were tasked by Pakistan army to target Chinese entities inside Pakistan. Now that's a very interesting development. So while I keep saying that China plans to utilize Pakistan against India, it remains to be seen how Pakistan will react when its loyalty is tested, whether it will choose America or China. You see, all this will become a little more clear in next 1 year when this game unravels itself, and we'll have more proof of what is being hypothesized right now. War doesn't happen overnight. There are defense purchases associated with it, and then there are of course establishment of supply chains, and this cannot be done within a time frame of, let's say, few months. It takes time. Ukraine is a good example. We had discussed this earlier. So this is why I'm saying let's wait for 1 more year before we come to any conclusion, because only then we'll have proof of what we are talking about right now. So till we meet again, stay informed.